This is Mr. Taylor. Today I'm going to show you how you can check out a book using Koha and how you can search for a book there and place one on hold. Also, I'll show you how you can use Sora, which is our ebook app, if you are interested in checking out an ebook. And then we will take a look at some books that we have and the different genres that are available. So here I am right now on the library high school page. This is homepage.penmanor.net. I'll click on high school and scroll down. The main links that we need are right here. Um, and right here we have the Koha to sign in and place a hold link. There's also a virtual tour. I'm going to talk about both of these. There are two short videos here which kind of overview what I'm going to be explaining to you now, but those are just review videos if you needed to use them. So the Koha link, when I click on that, I'll be taken to Koha. You'll log in with your Google information. So for you, this will be your student ID number and then your Google password. When you do that, you're taken to a main page where it shows you what you have checked out, when it's due, and you can renew the item if you need to. That'll be important later on in the semester. You can search for a book. So let's say we want to find the title To Catch a Killer. I go ahead and search for that. Here are the two books that we have in that series, To Catch a Killer and then To Right the Wrongs. I click on the book. I get a photo of the cover, in most cases, some descriptors down here, and even a summary. So this is a decent way to browse if you are looking for a book. If you decide that you like this one and you're interested in checking it out, you'll simply place a hold and then hit the confirm hold. If you do not hit the confirm hold button, nothing will go through and we won't get your book. If you do hit the confirm hold button, you'll be entered into a list. We'll pull the book and then we'll deliver it to your classroom. So with that said, I'll go back here. You can search for, perhaps you don't have a certain title in mind, but perhaps you have an author that you would like to read or a topic you kind of want to see, okay, what are the different basketball books? And you can browse that way using some of the subject searches. You can see I get 104 results. It also says that there are 45 results in the library's Overdrive collection. I will talk about that in just a moment, but that's where you could get some ebooks if you wanted those. I do want to jump back for just a second to show you another way to browse. If you don't have an idea of what you want, you'd rather just kind of browse the shelves like you would typically in a library, you can go down to the virtual tour. The virtual tour allows you to peek around in the space that we are currently in. So for this year, we are in the new part of the building, but we're in a sort of a basement area. Perhaps some of you have walked by. We have the library divided up into the different genres. There's adventure, fantasy, science fiction, graphic novels, horror, mystery, suspense. And then YA is actually nonfiction. That's nonfiction YA. Fiction, romance, teen, war, Spanish language, and sports. So let's say that you are, or know that you are interested in a sports book. If you click on the sports genre, you can then click to see the books. And this will take you to a page that has our sports books listed. And again, you're back in Koha now, so you can easily place this on hold. So if you see after the shot drops and you're interested in that book, you click it and then you'll place a hold. Do be aware as you are browsing the books about the availability, items available for loan. You can see that these books, many of these books are available for loan right now. However, if this is red or if it does not say high school, that will mean the book is unavailable and you will have to wait to get it. You can still place it on hold, but it may be quite a while until the person before you is done with it. If you need something immediately for this week, you should be sure to pick something that is available now. So that is Koha, and that is the virtual tour. You can go through and, as I said, browse for books that way. In the next segment of this video, I am going to explain to you Overdrive in Sora, which will be the ebook collection. And if that is something you are interested in, we'll show you how you can do that. So the Sora app is found at soraapp.com /welcome. It's actually, I don't even think you have to type the welcome. So just soraapp.com. If you would like to check out an ebook, you'll head here, and then on the opening screen, it will ask you what your school is. Sometimes it will determine, based on your IP address, that you are in a Lancaster, Lebanon IU 13 school, which is where you are. If it doesn't show up, or you don't get any information, you can go ahead through and select your school. If it's still not listed, down here at the bottom, if we move that out of the way, my school is enlisted, and then you can do a search for Penn Manor. You'll see that Penn Manor is a subheading under Lancaster Lebanon Intermediate School Unit 13. That's because we are part of the IU share membership through them. You'll select that. That'll be your library. So this is basically the collection that we're pulling from. Now, once you get into the correct choice for the IU, if you scroll down, here is where you'll actually select Penn Manor School District. And then you just put in your user ID. Your user ID is your student ID number. And I'll use an example account here. I'm going to sign in. So all you need to know to get into Sora is just your user ID number. Once you do that, you're taken to a page where you can browse. So you can search for a book. There are different popular subjects. There are about a couple thousand books in here. You can see there are newer ones being added. You can browse through those. Also, audiobooks are available, and you can filter your search. You can look at the different collections. So there are a lot of different ways to explore the books that are here. If you do find a book that you want to take out, so let's say you are interested in a particular book, we'll use Wonder as an example. Here you go. You get, again, description, some information about the book, and it lets you know its availability. Here it looks like you can only place a hold. This book is not available at the moment. If I wanted to get a book right away and I didn't want to wait, I could go under Preferences and Available Books. Instead of everything, I'll only choose books that are available. And for audience, we'll change that to YA so that it is, I can choose both those. We'll do young adult, compatibility, Sora, format. If I wanted to have an audiobook instead of an ebook, we'll just look at the ebooks for now and hit apply. So I get a list of some of the results. It looks like 1,300 are available. 1,300 different books are available now. That means right now, if I wanted, I could borrow The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I can click on that and then borrow the book. Once I do that, I'll be able to bookmark the book and open it in my browser. And that means that you can read on your computer and you'll be able to flip through the book and read it that way. However, there is also an app for your phone and for your tablet. If you wanted to read that way, all you have to do is search for that Sora app. And I'm going to we'll go the whole way back here. You're looking for Sora, so SORA, A. And then it might say something like overdrive or something along those lines as part of it. And that will be the app. You can find that in either the Android App Store or the Apple App Store. You can download it to your phone or tablet. And then you can just simply just open your books from there. It's the same process. You find Lancaster Lebanon Intermediate School 13, and then you select Penn Manor, and then you put in your student ID number. One of the benefits of being part of the IU 13 is that we can also borrow books from, you automatically can borrow books from the library system of Lancaster County. In order to do that, all you have to do is add that library. So if you type in library system of Lancaster, see it comes up. This is my library. You can select it and add it. I already have it added. But I'll show you, if I switch over, now you see the books change. I'm looking at a different collection. And what that means is that there may be books on this collection that I might not be able to get from the other one. I'm not sure that the other collection has American Royals Majesty yet, or Almost American Girl, whatever is mentioned here. So you do have those books you can also look through. That's Sora. It's a fairly straightforward app, but if you were to have trouble with it, you try to add it and it won't work. You can't get logged on. Should be no reason that you shouldn't be able to use your student ID number unless you have moved into the school district in the last few months. If you are new to the school district, your ID might not be in there, and that's a situation where you could reach out to me at jeffrey.taylor@pennmanor.net, and I will get you set up with an account for the ebooks. So again, covered Koha. You can order a book that way. We've got ebooks available. You can get a book online and read it on your laptop or on your phone or tablet. The last thing I'm going to cover here, and I'll transition over to, is doing some book talks. So I'm going to give you an overview of those different genres. If you remember in the virtual tour, I listed all of the different genres. So now I am going to go through and give you an example book. If you want any of the books that I talk about in the book talk, you can search for them in Koha. All right, so we'll start with that next. All right, so we'll begin with some genre books. I'm going to start with nonfiction, and the first two I have here are both true stories, and this one is called Unstoppable. It's by Anthony Robles, and in this one, it tells the story of Anthony as he's growing up. He is born without a leg, and it tells the story of his childhood and his mother and some of the difficulties he faces. In ninth grade, he decides he wants to wrestle in high school, and he's kind of told he'll be at a disadvantage, like it might be really difficult for him. And some people are a little leery of him wrestling. By the time he's in 12th grade, he's a state champion, and he ends up he's hoping he can get a lot of scholarships, and he ends up not really being offered many because, again, the colleges kind of underestimate him. So he ends up going to Arizona State University, and there he wrestles and is able to become a national champion. So it's really an inspiring and interesting story about a guy who faced all these obstacles. He tells the story in a really easy to read, easy to follow way. If you enjoy sports and true life sports stories, I think this is a really good one. It's just very approachable and written in a way that I think makes it a good choice for independent reading. So that's called Unstoppable. The next book then is also a true story, totally different topic, is called Sisters of the War. So this is about the civil war in Syria. So it's about kind of current events, things that are going on in the world right now. And what happened was this news reporter, this journalist, decided she wanted to tell the story of the Syrian civil war. And after interviewing and going over there and kind of meeting people, she decided to follow these two sisters, two groups of sisters on either side of the civil war. And you see what they live through, what they go through, the fear they have to kind of live with every day. Bombings happening around them, but still trying to lead normal lives. And it's really a touching story. Again, it connects with modern events. In a way, it's a war story, so it hits a lot of different check boxes as far as that goes. That's called Sisters of the War, and that is a newer book. We have not had that one very long. The next set of books will all be genre fiction. So these are going to hit in the virtual tour. You would have seen those the different letters that gave you something for each category. So I try to pick something from each category to give you an overview. And so first we have adventure. The adventure books are survival books, a lot of times outdoor books, also spy books or pirate books, books with like a lot of like just like action sort of oriented. Um, this one, Aftershocks, focuses on a survival story. It takes place it really begins in California. These our two main characters meet at a laundromat. Their names are Ruby and Charlie. They've known each other all of 5 minutes, and suddenly everything around them begins to shake, and the world just collapses in on top of them. Um, and it's about what happens in the aftermath of this terrible 7.8 earthquake and what these characters have to do to survive. So that's called Aftershocks. If you like those survival stories, you might enjoy that. The next book is a fantasy book. So the fantasy section is going to have magic. It's going to have mystical creatures, dragons, chimera, things along those lines, and some type of magic element or unexplained element. In this one, we have a book called The Iron Trial. The main character's mother is presumably killed by magic. That he grows up being very fearful of magic and even of his own ability. When he comes of age, he's supposed to take something called the Iron Trial. It's basically a test to determine whether or not he has the aptitude for magic. And if he passes it, he must then be trained. He desperately wants to fail this test. He really wants to just leave magic behind and not have anything to do with it, but he passes. And from there, it goes on to his training, goes on to sort of the dark undersides of this magic, and also the conspiracy. He really uncovers a conspiracy about his mother's death, and so it becomes a little bit of a mystery book also. So if you like those elements, some action adventure in this one too, although it's got that fantasy magic component. Near fantasy and often grouped in with fantasy is science fiction. So science fiction is going to take place on perhaps other planets or have, artificial intelligence or perhaps maybe just some new type of technology that alters lives, something that's developed. This one's pretty far out there. It is called The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. You're not sure if you're on Earth or another planet, but you're with a colony of about 100 people. They're all men when the book begins, and they can read each other's minds. Everyone there can hear everyone else's thoughts all the time. There's no way to shut it off. And you can only imagine what living like that would be like in this with these other people who constantly know what you are thinking. Our main character ends up finding he goes out to the swamp and he's exploring, and he's there with his dog who he can also communicate with. He can read his dog's mind, and that provides one of the more like kind of comical relationships in the book. It's very, very funny exchanges. And while they're out at this swamp, they find a girl, and they have never seen a girl before in their lives, and they can't read her mind. She is different than them, and they immediately realize the kind of the threat that they're under, and he begins to worry about what the other people in his community are going to do to her. And so they're on the run and they're trying to escape from this area to get out and kind of find out what else is out there. And so it's called The Knife of Never Letting Go. Like I said, if you enjoy science fiction, you might like that one, but also you can check out the science fiction genre. The next book I have is a horror book. This one's called Survive the Night. Survive the Night by Daniel Vega. It's got a just a creepy opening premise. We have a main character who actually is just coming out of rehab. She has had some addiction issues and some problems. Her friends talk her into going to this party that is in an underground nightclub. It's actually part of a condemned part of the New York City subway, and they go there. The party is crazy, and of course there are a lot of temptations for her that she has to sort of stay away from. She doesn't like it. She regrets going almost immediately because she knows she's trying to get clean. And she goes to look for one of her friends and can't find her. Eventually, she goes down one of the hallways in the subway and finds her friend dead. And it goes from there to they essentially all kind of begin to freak out, and they leave that part. They go back to the party to really to go out and to get help. When they go back, everyone is gone, and they realize they are locked in, they are stuck, and so now they're left wandering these subways in the dark, um, trying to find a way out. And they believe that something or someone is hunting them. And it kind of, again, it's a horror book, so the element of creepiness here is pretty high. That's called Survive the Night. If you enjoy those types, um, some of the horror are maybe more fun and less creepy than that one. So we do have some like comedy horrors also, so you can browse through those books and see. The next book that I have here is called The Silence of Six. This is a techno thriller. It's a mystery suspense novel. You have a hacker who uncovers and steals some proprietary information from a corporation, something they definitely don't want out there. And he steals it and leaves some information for his friend, but then kills himself. You don't know why, but clearly the information he's stolen has led to uh, some very bad people finding him, and he is very, very worried. Our main character then has to try to figure out what has been down, what have they discovered, try to figure out and put together the pieces of this mystery. Would they threaten? Um, why would they threaten them? And what is this information, and why is it so important? So it's called The Silence of Six. As I said, it's kind of like a technology thriller. The next book I have here is called 180 Seconds. We have this one under romance. Romance is really a genre that's focused on relationships, and they can be positive or negative. Sometimes we have romantic comedies in romance. Sometimes we have sort of just heartbreaking stories. Sometimes we have stories about really terrible relationships and how they go wrong. 180 Seconds starts with a college student. She is a sophomore, kind of has kept to herself, but she ends up at this event for for I think it's YouTube, for a YouTuber. It might be social media, and this person has a ton of followers. He's doing this weird challenge where basically they kind of sit and and have this exchange, this conversation in 180 seconds, and it's just like 3 minutes of kind of intense conversation. um, and so she gets pulled into doing this and sits down across from this person and has this kind of deep, kind of meaningful exchange with cameras on and everything, and it alters both of their lives in very different ways. This very short conversation, and it's about the repercussions of kind of this viral video, of what they say to each other, and what that means afterwards. So it's a neat kind of a neat way to start the book off. And that's like I said, that's under the romance area, which is another genre you can check out. We'll move to sports now. This one's called Box Out by John Coy. Box Out focuses on a young man. Well, it focuses on a basketball team who's is really kind of set to make a run. Looks like they could perhaps go into playoffs, maybe go farther. And then their starting center, who is extremely tall and kind of dominant, gets a season-ending injury, and they are desperate to find a replacement. So they recruit this guy who is, while he is tall, has never played much basketball and isn't exactly coordinated, but he fits the physical profile of what they need to run their offense. And so they bring him in. And it's about his journey of kind of becoming this like sports, the pressure of the sport that he all of a sudden has to deal with in his senior year, even though this isn't anything he's kind of done before, and it's about kind of whether he can rise to that challenge or not, and also help to carry the team through the playoffs. So if you like sports action, you might like Ox Out. The next book here is called Winter Girls. So teen books. This is in the teen genre. Teen books are going to be books with teenage protagonists. So the main character is going to be a teenager who is dealing with realistic or real life issues. Now, these can be a really wide range of different things. Some of them will be about obsessive compulsive disorder, is one that I mentioned the other day. Perhaps racism or suicide or um, homelessness, issues of abuse, things like that. So a lot of the teen books do tend to be pretty serious. There are some that are more lighthearted. They're more about just getting through high school, and there's a bit of a comedy element to them too. And then some are far more serious. So you kind of got to pick and choose between the teen for what you're looking for. Winter Girls is deals with anorexia and bulimia, eating disorders. You have two main characters here who they kind of make a vow to one another that they will become as thin as possible. That is, they're going to lose as much weight and to maintain that loss. And they really kind of build off one another. And as they do that, they spiral through their eating disorder, getting worse and worse and worse until finally one of them dies. And the one who survives now, her best friend is gone, and she's partly responsible. But on top of that, she still has an eating disorder that didn't just go away because her friend died. And it's about the repercussions of her choices, but also trying to deal with something that is that she really needs help to try to get through. So that's called Winter Girls. Again, pretty serious topics in some of those teen books. I'll leave you then with the last genre is a war genre. This one's called The Enemy Above. The war books can be any war from any time period, so they really range as far as that goes. We also include in the war genre our Holocaust literature. So that would, if you're thinking of if you're interested in reading anything along those lines, perhaps some of you maybe read Night for your classes or remember reading that. This is the same genre where you'd find books like that. The Enemy Above is a World War II story. It takes place in the Ukraine. The Nazis invade this Ukrainian town, and the Nazis do take over the Ukraine during the early parts of World War II. And this town is overrun, and many of the town's residents seek refuge in the caves and the caverns that are near their town, and so they essentially escape to these caves, and they kind of set up a community there and a resistance. And this is about this kind of underground, literally underground resistance, where they are using these caves to kind of transport information and people and things sort of directly underneath of their Nazi occupied town. And so if you're interested in war books, please check out the war section. Of course, there are some more modern ones too, ones that would be take place in Afghanistan or Iraq or other places that where we've had some recent conflicts. Those are the different genres. You are welcome to look for those books in Koha, and you can place them on hold. They're available right now, unless someone else got to them already. But you can also, if you have questions or need a suggestion, you can email me. If you tell me, hey, I want a thriller, do you have a couple options for me to pick from? I can try to give you a few to